Get this going. All right, guys, welcome to today's session. Every Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, we're here, we're live. And the intention of this is to really bring you some of the best traders, the best educators in the space, so you can have a kind of a better understanding of proper expectations, what it's really like to go through the journey, some strategies, some mindset perspectives. What more than anything is just to be transparent and to be raw, right? At the end of the day, we do this so that this can become kind of like a time machine for you, right? It'll compress time, your experience, so you can learn from the biggest mistakes and the biggest mindset shifts that people have had, so that you can, take quantum leaps in your journey. So I have two special individuals here. I'm gonna see if I can have them pulled up over here. Siva, got you, bro. Now I got Iffy as well. All right. Let's see. Let me know if you guys can unmute yourselves. We should be good to go.
Yo.
What's up, bro? What's going on?
What's good, man? What's good?
Man, that's good. For the price of one. Let's go, man. We getting deals today. How y'all feeling?
Phenomenal, broski. What about
Yo,
yourself?
abundant, man. Happy to be here, bro.
Man, I'm excited. I got really prepared for you guys, because y'all think different. So I made sure I had the proper questions for you guys. Someone said, "Is that Quavo?" Y'all are crazy. All right, I have you guys pinned, but can you guys see them? I want to make sure everyone can see these two beautiful people right here. Yeah. All right, perfect. So, all right. So let's get it started. First and foremost, welcome. I know I've been wanting to have you guys on for a minute, and I'm happy to have you guys here. But I have a couple things for y'all, and I want to get right into it because we only have 50 minutes, and I know we can go for hours. So let's just dive right in. But let's get a little bit of a background. So I'll start with you, Iffy. How did you come into this? How did you step into this entrepreneur lane, trading lane? Where did that really come from?
Shoot, man. For myself, I was just always looking for ways to make money online. Really at a young age, at like 16, 17, I was just on my phone looking for ways to make money online. And I came across like a affiliate marketing type of thing. I wasn't even old enough to, to actually do it. So I had my mom start an account, tried to do that, didn't make any money, but that started my journey in personal development, really got me heavy into personal development. And so from there, eventually I came across e-commerce, around 17 years old, came across e-commerce, and that was like my first taste of like making money online. And so I really just knew it was possible then. And it's crazy because like in the moment, so I was doing e-commerce, everything like that. But I wasn't old enough to actually have an eBay store. You had to be 18 to run an eBay store. And I put a fake birthday so I could actually have, an account and make money through eBay. But they have like a limit of how much you could make if you don't have a verified account. Tried to verify my account and they found my real age. And so I lost my store. And so at that point, it was like, it's crazy how things happen. I really believe, everything happens for a reason. Things are always in alignment. But it's like in that moment, I'm like, yo, I just lost like my mainstream of income. It's like I don't want to, work a job, but I had to go back to doing that. But it forced me into looking into more ways to make money online, and I came across this.
How old were you
at that time? I was 18, like 18, mid 18 years old when I came across trading. And when I saw trading, I just knew like this was it. It's like, yo, this is what I need to spend my time doing, and I just went, full force in.
So how many years has it been since that first trade?
Sheesh, man. It's been like 7 years now since that first trade. I swear when you first start trading, it's like, risk management is just not even a thing. It's like, you you're just trying to learn technicals,
Yeah.
and I was just dropping lots, man. But me having the experience of making money through trading and actually withdrawing the money, that's what made it real for me. And what
It
really
didn't
made
even
me
have to be a
decide.
lot. It could be just dollars, and you're just like,
Yeah,
all right, we here. Like it can be done.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
I think there's a lot to learn. Like even just as what you said, you didn't come into like trading wasn't kind of the first thing that you got into. Affiliate marketing, e-commerce back 7, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And I think your mindset from the beginning, you can kind of see it. Like you're jumping through hoops to just even get an account. You're illegally making e-commerce accounts, asking for mom to like help you out, and then redirecting. All right, cool, this didn't work out. Okay, what's next? So instead of like, this isn't for me, it's what's next. So I mean, you can tell like there's already kind of hints and pieces of just like the proper mindset from an early age. And just real quick, is there someone in your life that kind of like you think planted the right seeds for you that just like you already were kind of thinking different?
No, I wouldn't say there was anyone in my life that like had me thinking different, because like, my parents were super, like corporate,
Yeah.
type of, my mom was a teacher, so
Okay.
she wanted me to go to school, go to college, like all those things.
So is it
For
yeah,
myself, say that again.
it was like because they were specific path, you're like, no, I'm gonna go this way.
Yeah, for me it was just like it just didn't make sense to me
Yeah.
to put all my time into something that I didn't get enjoyment out of. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, you got to do what you got to do, of course,
Huh?
but I just knew there had to be another way. And just getting into personal development, like I've always been into like rabbit hole type of stuff, and so I feel like that is what really kind of opened my mind into like, oh, the system's broken, you
Yeah.
gotta find
We'll get
another
into
way
that.
type of thing. Yeah.
We'll get into the media manipulation and the orchestration and the rabbit hole conversations a little bit and how that ties into trading. We're not just mindlessly going to go into a rabbit hole. But Siva, for you, man, what was it like? What was the beginning like? How did you get into this? And then from there, we'll get into the deeper questions.
No, for sure. So I've been doing this for 4 years now. I've always been in stuff where, sales, and not exactly the sales you guys would think about, but I used to sell a lot of things
Non-traditional.
online.
Mhm.
Yeah, street pharmacist, let's just put it that way. And I even started making a lot of money online as well through gaming. I used to sell a lot of gold in World of Warcraft. So I've been, in that regimen as well. But
You've been in the
really,
exchange game for a minute.
yeah, basically, some of you guys might know, Jordan, of course, he really developed his skills from RuneScape. I started doing it with World of Warcraft, selling accounts, flipping accounts, stuff like that. And then really what got me into trading was my boy RJ. He's the one that really put me on. I used to be an Amazon driver, just selling, literally delivering packages. And I saw him post on Instagram about stocks and trading. And I found out that you could actually flip stuff legally. So I'm like, yo, like, this is awesome, right? Buying and selling currencies. So that's when I really started to see the vision with this.
Yeah.
It was actually funny. The first trade I took that really instilled the vision. You guys were talking about it. The first couple of bucks you make. I was in line waiting to load up my van. That's kind of how Amazon works. You have an empty van, you go into the warehouse, you fill up the packages, and you go on your route.
Yeah.
So prior to that, this was when I first started in IM. We had Gold Cup, and Luke sent out a trade, and I took that trade on my phone. And right before I went in the warehouse, I get out of the warehouse and I go to my first stop. And I, just like Iffy said, we didn't know what risk management was at the time, but I saw my first $100 that I made. which was basically half of my day's salary for the day, which I made in a few hours. So that's where it really flipped the switch on, damn, this shit is really real. And after that, man, like, you know, it's been history since.
I love it, man. It's such a unique experience to feel it. You know, because like theory is one thing, but you're driving in the van, you're literally putting your time into making money. Something I'm sure you didn't, dream about being an Amazon driver, as a young Siva. And then at that time, it's like it stretches your mind in a way that it can't get back to the same place. You experience something so unique, and it's okay. Wait a minute, this has always been here. What if I could do this over and over and over again? What if this could be the thing? So that's really cool, man. I like that. And I want to give a shout out to all the people that paved the way. I know, like, for you it was RJ, for me it was Tim Sloma. Iffy, who put you on?
You gotta unmute yourself, family.
Oh my God, Iffy.
Yeah, bro, you got the mute thing locked.
Put you on, Iffy.
But for me it was Emery. He was the first one that introduced me into just like this whole space.
That's cool, man. And I, the reason I want to say that is there are people that are either still in our lives or aren't in our lives, or sometimes they're in for seasons for a reason, but they just plant the seed. And I always think it's just important to give gratitude to those people that kind of just set the tone for us, because there's sometimes people that you don't remember anymore, but they had one moment of influence that led to another. And so shout out to all those people. But all right, let's dive into it, guys. Because we have a lot to talk about. We're gonna talk about a little bit about money management, the biggest pitfalls that traders go through. We're gonna talk about how the media influences trading patterns versus narrative. There's a lot to go through. So y'all better be ready. But let's go with you, Siva. What's one thing about your journey you struggled to accept and you're actually willing to share? Because there's some things that I know not everybody shares everything, but what's something you struggled with that you're like, all right, let me tell you something I went through.
Okay, so it's actually when I first started. When I started this, it was February 2019, and it was the winter. And if you guys don't know, I am currently now in Texas, but I used to live in Canada, and delivering packages back then was not the most amazing thing. So I dreaded my job every single day. And May time, it was like May or June, I got into a fight with a coworker, which is pretty retarded to hear, getting into a fight with somebody at work. But it was in a gas station. Yeah, like an actual fight. Like there was blood and everything. Like, it was retarded.
Scrappy.
So,
Okay,
so we were fighting in a gas station, bro. The cops got involved, everything. And I was not even clocked out of work yet. It was with another coworker. And at that point, that's when I threw in the towel. I'm like, yo, I am not working anymore, because this is not it. Like, why am I fighting with someone at work? I've been, learning about trading for the past 5 to 6 months. And I quit my job, and I'm like, yo, I'm going to go all in on trading. And at that moment, that was probably the hardest part ever. I would never recommend anybody to do that, because I locked off my only stream of income and I went all in on trading. But I'm grateful that, I was prepared though. I had savings that I could fall on. I had other things that I could fall on, but that's the one thing that I feel like, I could share there, that as an experience wise, because I really wanted to make this thing work. And that was the only way to really do it. To be honest, I was like, yo, I'm going to just go all in on this thing.
That's pretty early.
It is.
That's
really early, bro. Really early.
Were you making withdrawals consistently, or were you just like, no?
Nah, bro. Nah. Honestly,
belief.
I got belief, bro. And, I had a good amount of savings and stuff at the time. So I was like, I had something to fall on, worst case. And I was willing to go back to work if I needed to.
Okay. Cool. You didn't have the pride kind of in the way. It was almost like, it's kind of like, hey, you know what? I'm going to take a semester off from college. I can always come back.
Yeah.
No one ever comes back, but that's cool, man. I think that's a big one. Are you still getting into fights, or are you past?
Nah, bro. Nah. The only fights I'm getting in with sometimes is the mental in the market, but that's about it.
That one you don't get out of.
Yo, the Toronto man's be wilding, bro. That's all I have to say, man. It's crazy out there.
Would you have done it differently? Would you recommend it the average person to approach it a little bit different?
Oh, 100%. I don't think anybody should, like, especially starting something like this, because to do something like that, to cut off your only stream of income, I had responsibilities, so I had to pay mortgage, I had a car to pay, I had things that I had to pay for, so it was very stressful mentally. And no, I would not recommend that to anybody, unless if, you dead ass have like 6 to 12 months worth of, savings and everything that you're good to live on, then yeah, maybe. But otherwise, nah, I don't think most people could like really cope with that mental.
Stomach.
Yeah.
Stomach. How did that influence your trading? Like, did you just
whole lot of blown accounts?
Okay.
Whole lot of blown accounts, to be honest with you.
Other side hustles and incomes while the trading kind of got up to pace, because it takes some considerable amount of money to have in a trading account to be able to kind of keep up with that. Two, there's still a learning curve at 5 months. Like, just being real, you do not know much. Even with mentorship, it's still like there's knowledge and then there's experience. So what was that like?
Yeah, so the business really helped, and being able to build the business. I didn't hit some crazy rank right off the bat, but it did start bringing in some money in. But in the beginning, the first 6 months or so, I was really falling on my savings, to be honest. I wasn't able to really be consistent at all with the charts. Like you said, bro, like I just started scratching the surface.
Yeah.
My learning curve was broken down a lot, though, considering that, I kind of just jumped right into smart money. I didn't learn. I know Mike, you and Iffy have been in the game. You guys have traded other strategies and stuff. I got mentored by Iffy. I hopped on his Zoom calls, his Discords. So I really, Iffy's been in the game for 7-8 years. He cut the curve for me. Jordan cut the curve for me. Zach, you as well, Mike. You've been a big inspiration in my journey as well. So you guys really helped cut the learning curve for me. But when it came to withdrawals, that consistency really wasn't there at all in the beginning. Just full transparency. I really didn't see that at all. I didn't see proper withdrawals until like a year in, 2 years in.
Yeah.
But IM's compensation plan. Yeah. And that's some people like didn't like even 2 years in, like I wasn't hitting a withdrawal every single month. You know what I mean? I was hitting withdrawals. And that was the other thing. Big shout out to 2020, because investing in things like Sandbox and VV, really helped me spark stuff in there too. For the OGs that have been here, you guys know Jordan and Zach were screaming about Sandbox when I was at 5-10 cents back then. That's what really sparked my first set of gains in the space. It wasn't margin trading, it was crypto investments. What really helped me.
And I've heard of that a lot.
Yeah.
How 2020 crypto set up 2021, 2022 trading. Because it's a little different. It's less hands-on, there's less precision involved, and we'll get into things like that. But one thing I want to say, Siva, just getting to a point of a withdrawal, that is a well above average. So even 2 years, 4 years, just getting to that point is something that's like amazing. And so I think your transparency, I know a lot of people right now are feeling that, like, all right, cool. Like some of these people look up to, to you guys, and they learn from you on a day-to-day basis. It's like, okay, cool. It wasn't just like easy, and there's also a process. So I appreciate you, Siva. Iffy, what about you, man? What's one thing about your journey you struggled to accept and you're willing to share?
Shoot, man. I'd say for myself, one thing was just like my health and stuff. That was one thing that was like kind of struggle for me at first, just because I was kind of like, I don't want to say forced, but it was in my best interest to leave work.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of going back and forth from like different jobs and stuff. Like having to leave work, having to quit and stuff, because like I would have to like miss a lot of days for my health. But at the same time, like that kind of like really fueled me, because it almost like angered me, like that my life would be dependent upon someone else. Like someone else paying me, having like I'm having to follow this or that.
Yeah.
And so like with that getting in the way, that was a struggle for me, just because it was kind of same thing. Like when I went full-time trading, like I wasn't even all the way ready. And I
When did you
listen
go
to
full
Jim
time?
Rohn. Say that again.
When did you go full time?
I went full-time in 2018, late 2018, early 2019.
That was what,
But
two
like
years
for
in?
say that again.
That was like 2 years in.
No, 'cause I started in like early or like late 2000 and like 15, I want to say, like late
All right, cool. So
2015.
you took your time to kind of get there.
Yeah. No, it took me like, I mean, it definitely was a roller coaster ride, going through so many different strategies, and I feel like that's a trap that a lot of people get into. They see a little bit of success, then they start losing and getting clapped, and they think it's the strategy's fault. And so it's
Yeah.
like, yo, this doesn't work. Let me go.
100.
So it's like I did that for some time, until I actually decided to consolidate on, just one strategy, and like, yo, like let me really make this work type of thing. So like, yeah, I attempted to use like the whole like magic of part-time type of thing that
Yeah.
Jim Rohn used to talk about. 'Cause I used to listen to him a lot. And so to really help my psychology in trading, um, I at the time I did like an on-call type of thing. I was working at Macy's, decided to do on-call to where it's like, okay, I can go in when I actually need some extra help and need to make some more money type of thing.
Yeah.
But I was really putting my full focus into trading, because it was really a matter of like I wanted to feel like, yo, like I'm in complete control of my life,
Mhm.
um and be able to have all the time that I needed to put towards like getting my health right, and just really getting my situation right. So that was one thing that was I would say was a little difficult for me in my journey. So definitely.
You made it work, man. You made
Yeah,
it work.
no, for sure, it's always a way. You got to.
And I think what most people would use as an excuse kind of became the propeller, and like it's like, all right, you know what, I need to make this work because of my health, and it's better for me just long term for quality of life and quality of living just to do this and take this on. That's cool, man. I have a question for you guys. Should trading be easier, or is doing what it takes right now what actually makes it worth it?
I think the blood, tears, and sweat is what's necessary. That's I think it's all necessary, to be honest. And trading, one of the things I love about it so much is it, like, I had so many bad habits before, Mike. Like, it's crazy. I had a drinking problem, stay up late, never wake up on time. My health was trash. Like, so many things were off.
Yeah.
And it really helped me put myself on game,
Yeah.
started waking up on time, focusing on my health, doing all of these things. So I think all of that is necessary, to be honest, all aspects of life. Because you got to be, I know you're a New York session trader, so is Iffy. It's like you got to sleep right at the right times. You got to be getting up at the right time. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of those things are really necessary. And it's just the small things I feel like a lot of people leave out. They go 2-3 hours late to bed one day and they're not up for New York, and then wondering why they're not seeing success in trading if you're not up on the session. You know what I mean? So I think that's all really necessary.
Nah, I love it. What about you, Iffy?
No, I 1,000% agree. I think that's all necessary, because that really just kind of goes with my just belief of, you can't have down without up. You can't have up without down type of
Law
thing.
of polarity.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can't truly enjoy the successes and the victories in life if you do not have hardship. It's like no one relates to someone's story who's like, yo, I just started this trading thing and out the gate, it was just amazing and everything just worked out for me. And I never had, no one relates to that. It's like it really doesn't make it as rewarding. But when you
Yeah.
struggle and like you really go through the grind and it's like, yo, like real blood, sweat, and tears, man. Like I like no cap, I have like wanted to quit. I had days where I was just like so livid, man. And I'm just like, yo, like yo, F this trading thing.
Have you downloaded? Have you you taken MC4 off your phone?
Bro, yeah, but I downloaded a couple hours later.
How to?
like
Man.
like dead ass, it's like I never could actually walk away from it, and I
Yeah.
think my first year, being able to see any type of profit, that's really what it was. It's like, yo, I'm extracting money from the internet. It's like
Yeah.
it's really like
I
you're
still
putting
am. I still get that feeling. Like
literally.
I'll be up. I'll be at the gym up here. And it'll be like nighttime and then New York session. And I'm literally seeing the whole, like literally the whole country from this view. And I'm just like, this thing,
Yeah.
this thing. And I can just do whatever. Doesn't make any sense. But then you go back and you're like, it's not, you make money through these devices, but you have to become somebody. So it's like, yeah, like the technology makes it seem as efficient, but the work, man, the work.
That's it. Trading 1,000% makes you become a better person. I feel like that's why, like, from what I've seen, most people that really stick it through, eventually they start seeing results because you go through that journey of having to become a better person, more disciplined, all these things. But the statistic of how, 97%, 95% of traders don't make money, I think that's why, because not everyone's really ready to face themselves and see like, yo, these are the things that I have issues and I need to work on, money management, patience, discipline, all those things. It
People
forces
don't
you.
realize, I didn't mean to butt in, but people don't realize you got to go within to get without,
Facts. Facts. That's a bar.
Speaking of money management, you guys have done an amazing job shuffling your cash flow into different asset classes, metals, cryptos, having some, savings, some liquidity, NFTs, traditional, non-traditional incomes. Where like are you guys down to break some of that down? And do you have a formula for yourself? Is it more so based off of opportunity? I know Siva, if you want to kick this one off.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's something, to be honest with you, I'm still working on right now as well. I haven't like found like a perfect formula or anything. But the biggest thing I can tell anybody is cash flow is king. It really allows you to then be able to, shift yourself around. But really my mindset with all of this really started to come about from understanding what money is itself, what the dollar is, how it's used as purchasing power, what the role of metals are, precious metals, and how they play a role in this world, and how we got to understand that, majority of the debt that's even created in the world right now, it's because they removed from, the silver and the gold standard, right? And we got to understand that even these cell phones that we use, all these electronics, shit, even Bitcoin and all of these cryptos are all indirectly mined through using precious metals in our computers and the graphics cards and all that stuff. So I really think that having a balance between them is important. Having, cash on the side to always be able to invest in, the next thing that might be ideal, or always having cash flow to always be able to throw into the market. But I also think that sitting on things like metals is also very important. Especially things like silver, is at such low prices as of right now, in my opinion. And there's so much growth for it into the future.
For sure.
Especially, if things do go back to how they were, or, they peg this so-called digital dollar to something. We don't really know how they're going to really reboot this system that we're in right now. But I really feel that being diversified in cryptos, in, having metals as well, having cash on the side, so you are always able to, throw into the next thing that you feel is amazing. But I also, the other thing is as well that I would always, suggest to people is invest in something that you truly believe in. Don't just kind of believe something that, your mentor or somebody tells you. Like, do you genuinely feel for that investment? Why am I still able to hold certain things in VV? Why am I still, invested in the things like Sandbox, and I was able to hold on to it for so long? It was because, I'm a gamer at heart. I can see the vision for things like that. So I think even having a strong mindset towards or relation to what you're getting into, I think is very important as well. And lastly, really, is I think the other thing that I feel like people have trouble with investing is not being able to invest due to the fact that they got bills and stuff to pay, and they don't have like an emergency fund. This is the thing I preach a lot to my students is, let's say if your car breaks down and all your money is in Bitcoin, what are you going to do, bro? Like withdraw Bitcoin, like right then and there, it's being able. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you're not trying to liquidate the Bitcoin, right? So yeah, exactly. So it's like having that emergency fund of, 6 months, 12 months, whatever have you. I feel like that could then allow you to then be, I guess, better mentally to invest in things, because now you're not worried about the next month or 6 months down the road of something. You're prepared. Worst case scenario, if you're in the US, there's a medical procedure that comes up. Healthcare ain't free here. So it's like, all right, at least you have funds on the side to take care of that. You don't have to liquidate assets. I think that's very important as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's healthcare here. That's definitely not free. And that, I'll get into that in a little bit, but it sounds like, you really invest in things that you just understand. Like, one, you can see a vision in, and two, you just genuinely understand, whether it's through your own personal research or it's something that you have already. You're kind of stacking skills, okay, cool, here's gaming, I understand, I have a good pulse on this, and then this kind of glides into these other industries that I'm into. Awesome, you just have a better pulse on that. And you have more validated convictions. You have more, you can have a longer time horizon because you get it. Like, all right, this just makes sense. Like, right now is the noise. I know where it's kind of going. But what about you? If how have you seen your cash flow transition from just trading? And do you have a certain like mindset in where and how you move your money around? So that just based on your experience, obviously no recommendations or anything.
Yeah, no, definitely. Based on my experience, I do have a system that I developed, I want to say or really implemented like 2 years ago, maybe a little over 2 years ago. But this was like a really important lesson for me to learn, just because like my first year making a decent amount of money trading, it's like just not being used to that kind of money, can be easy to just spend your money. And so, really learning how to manage your money and learning that all the money that you make is not yours. And so I break mine up into like percentages. And it really just depends on someone's like lifestyle or someone's, expenses and everything like that. But I try my best to keep mine within my percentages. So I do 15%, right? 15% is for saving and investing. So it's like you're not saving just to save. I feel like that's one thing that people fall into a trap. It's like, yo, you're saving all this money to do what with it?
Yeah, it's gonna have an intention.
Exactly. You got to have an intention behind it. So 15% is saving to invest. 15% is pay yourself. So it's like, do whatever you want with that, have fun, go out, whatever the case may be. 10 to 15% is pay yourself. 5 to 10% is, like a giving pot. So where it's like, I'll put 5 to 10%. It really depends on, what you decided to give yourself that month. Into like a separate type of like giving pot. So where it's like, if someone needs to borrow money, if someone needs help with something, if you want to help out a person or whatever the case may be, like after I go out of that 5%, then it's like, all right, that's it. It's like, I can't. Yeah, tapped out.
I see what recipe you got.
Yeah, you're hip. Yeah, well, when I came across this, man, and implementing it really works.
That's the difference, though. Implementing the percentages and like actually staying within it, that's a whole other conversation.
No, that's a fact, man. It really is. And when I started, it was like I kind of had to change my percentages around to what like would work for me.
Yeah.
And like my expenses and stuff. And so it's like really just kind of having that idea of like, yo, you need to budget your money and you need to, know where your money is going. But yeah, the 20% is for like taxes, and like that really helps to just kind of like save up money, because a lot of those like expenses when it comes to taxes are going to be cut down from like write-offs and stuff. And then 30%, you typically want your living expenses to be 30%, and not everyone can do that. And so like, for someone that's in a position where they can't really have their expenses is 30% of their overall like income or their cash flow, you want to really focus on that like investing category, because you want to create more cash flow for yourself or just look for more opportunity. Because I think keeping it within that 30% range is like super, super important. And then, from the investing side of things, that 15% that you decide to invest, 100% agree with Siva as far as like, investing into things that you actually believe in and that makes sense to you. Like I really
explain it to somebody in simple terms, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. It's like, just tell them like, yo, my boy told me to hop in, so I hopped in, But
beginning of every horror story.
Yeah, literally. Unless it's from Jordan Morgan.
Unless it's from Jordan Morgan. Yeah. Then it's just blindfold on and
but yeah, I think just like I feel like when people come into this, they're not expecting to make crazy money. But if you plan to make crazy money, it's like, yo, I know I'm gonna see these type of results. I think that's like almost putting yourself in the position beforehand, like putting yourself in that mindset, like that whole kind of be do have type of concept, to where it's like you don't, it's just like be whatever it is that you want to be. Like that was another thing that I would say really helped me with that. When I first came across that, understanding just be do have, it's like, whatever it is that you want to be, giving yourself that permission first. And then it's like, okay, I'm a professional trader, right? Just like a lot of people think I got to have these results, I got to have done this and do that. Now I can call myself a professional trader. Right. But just like, no, just straight up putting yourself in that mindset of like, no, okay, I'm a professional trader. Okay, now that I'm a professional trader, okay, what do professional traders do? They manage their money, they follow their plan, they do this, they do that. Now you start brainstorming and thinking about ideas of like, okay, now that I'm this, I've allowed myself to be this, how do I actually do that? And then, of course you get, you have what they have type of thing. But I think managing the money is super important.
Yeah, you step into an identity when you do that. It's before you ever have to, before the actions even come, like you won't believe them if you haven't accepted like, okay, this is the person I'm becoming. This is who I am now. And that in itself kind of allows you to take steps that you're not really familiar with. Because sometimes, there's that imposter syndrome, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, I'm doing these things, but like, who am I to really do this? But if you've already decided, all right, this is who I am, so of course it makes sense to take these actions. It makes sense to wake up early. It makes sense to prepare myself. It makes sense to stay organized, to look at the markets, to be disciplined. It makes sense to say no to all these people because this is what someone at this caliber would do. Someone at this caliber would protect their energy, change their environment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now you guys are speaking a lot of knowledge. For these last to close this off for the next 10 to 15 minutes, this is the part that I think a lot of people wanted to hear from. Is I want to go into the media manipulation aspect of the conversation, and trading. We trade the markets, kind of, and I want to get into the behind the scenes of that. Most traders are bred, right? They're funneled through pattern-based learning with trading. What are the downsides to that, Shiva? What are the downsides of just trading patterns?
Because I feel, the market does repeat itself in same ways, but you're not going to always get the same pattern. And I feel, certain things are pattern-like though, like seasonality, for example, but it's not like the traditional, like equal highs or not equal highs. See, I know like the smart money concept way of saying it, but, support and resistance, those types of patterns, I feel like, there's a certain way that is meant to operate in the market where there are other certain things that happen in the market for a reason. And I feel that understanding those specific patterns is what allows you to then see, how the market moves. For example, like I'm really individual that, uses this a lot. If the entire world is going left, I'm trying to go right. There's a reason why mass majority of people aren't wealthy. So why would you follow mass majority of people in the same direction? Right. Earliest example that we can give right now, FTX collapse that happened in November, that I believe that whole thing was orchestrated for people to think in a certain way to get out of the market, where I personally feel that, it's really going back to what Warren Buffett says: when people are greedy, you should be fearful. When people are fearful, you should be greedy. And we can see now, literally after that collapse happened, and, even our good old friend Jim Cramer went on CNBC Mad Money Show and told everybody to sell their Bitcoin.
Yep.
That was the exact time where, you should have been actually looking to buy Bitcoin.
Jim Cramer inverse trade every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
I don't know if you can give me host here for a sec, Mike, but I wanted to show a visual as well. This is not the first time. You guys can see this happen multiple times. If we look at, this image right here, right? This was on CNBC, where they're telling everybody to buy Ripple at $2.57, right? And they're telling you to sell Ripple at $0.71, right? And we can literally go to the chart, and you guys can see here. Hold on, let me take off my log there. So you guys can see with my arrows, that's where they're telling everybody to buy, and this is where they're telling everybody to sell. So, there are certain patterns that are I think are pretty obvious in the market that you can start to then see. But, the mass manipulation that really happens, that itself is a pattern. There's patterns where people are steered to think in a certain way, but there's also patterns that smart money does in the market. And really being able to recognize that, I think, is what really can put you, forward. Just like you said, Mike, the inverse Kramer, people think it's a meme, but it's actually real. Like, go and look at that stuff. It's pretty crazy.
That's wild. I remember experiencing that. And the funny thing is, the reason that's really funny to me is because that's how Nance was pulled into trading, into crypto. Nance caught that news how to buy crypto event. And so she was locked in on those all-time highs for a minute. But
you live and you learn, right?
She's on the call.
Yeah.
But all right, so why would someone need to understand media manipulation for trading and for their own life? Like, okay, cool, yeah, there's these elitists and it's all the matrix, but why is it actually important for people to really understand these ideas?
Dude, I personally think it's super important. I mean, it really depends on what the goal is when it comes to actually, making money in the markets. It's super important just because it does separate you from the masses. Understanding that news is the excuse, right? And really understanding like, okay, if the majority of people are failing or not making money when it comes to trading, but the majority of people are learning these certain patterns or learning these certain techniques, then it would make sense to probably stray away from that. It's like people can go to school and learn how to be a financial analyst, and they teach these patterns, they teach these retail patterns. But tying that in with the actual news and the economics, I feel like it gives you more confidence in what it is that you're doing when it comes to trading. Because now, yes, you're seeing a technical signal, but you actually understand what's going on in the economy. You understand, what actually happens to the economy whenever interest is hiked or whenever we get a pause or whether, it gets lowered, right? It gives you a more longer term fundamental understanding, so where you can actually have confidence in like your positions, and what it is that you're doing and what's going on. But I feel like it also helps you stray away from the bullshit, like stray away from the BS, because it's like in 2020 when the pandemic hit, we had for a while been looking for a dollar to drop. We were, speculating that dollar was going to drop, indices were going to drop, and we understand that news is the excuse. And so we're like, yo, if dollar is going to have this big drop, then something is got to happen in the economy for this to actually happen and play out.
Yeah.
So when the COVID thing hit, or the pandemic hit, it was obvious then,
And the numbers show everything.
yeah, literally it was obvious that, yo, this is a scam. When you're understanding what's happening behind the scenes, like, yo, me and Siva, I actually remember me and Siva were on a call one day and we were looking at the Pfizer chart and we're like, yo, this is a break of structure to the upside. It just came down. It's about to mitigate. Pfizer's about to boom. It's like, it's all, and if we're understanding that the markets are manipulated, right? And I mean, most of the markets are algorithmic now, but like the markets are manipulated, and we can look at these technical patterns to tell that, yo, Pfizer is going to boom, then it must mean the whole thing is manipulated. The whole thing is rigged, right? So I think it's important because it gives you more confidence in your actual, what you're doing in your position. But then when it comes to real life stuff, you're able to spot when BS is BS and maybe when something's actually an opportunity or something maybe to be concerned about. But it's like, yo, news is the excuse, even when it comes to elections. I'm sure like people have seen that DXY chart where it shows the Republicans and the Democrats, and it shows pretty much how dollar is bull for the most part whenever we have a Democratic president, and when we have a Republican president, dollar is typically bear, right? And so in a sense, well, if you could have predicted what dollar is going to do on a macro scale, right, looking at the higher time frame, then you almost could have predicted who's going to win the election, right? And so is it not all manipulated? It just brings up questions.
I want to show you guys what orchestration looks like, just so everyone has a good perspective here.
The crazy thing is, bro, back in, I don't know if you were on this live, Iffy. We were on Bounce Back. I think it was me, you, Zach, and Jordan back in 2020. And we were all looking for shorts on US 30 and we all saw the liquidity. But we had no idea what was going to give us that massive drop that Mike Nav is showing y'all right now. And then long behold, it was the vid. That was the reason to literally clap all that trend line liquidity. So it's
to wrap up, 'cause 2 minutes.
yeah.
I just want everyone to understand this. It's what came first, right? What came first? Was it all of a sudden that there was this pandemic that was orchestrated? And the thing is, there's something to be a conspiracy and then one thing for it to be a fact. So what makes something a fact, right? Is it when there's so much mathematical evidence that it's just absolutely undeniable? And so in this case, if we have come to learn, right, that there's orchestrated sell-offs in order for better prices, and then the market, creates imbalance and continues. If we know that, and this right here is also another massive event. I think this is Trump being elected right here. So Trump's election drops price. We see everything, go from here. A catalyst was required to bring prices back down to where they were orchestrated to begin with. So is it just a crazy coincidence that metals, indices, crypto all ended up filling in balances, closing out previous sells to then get the best possible buys available? And then when you tie that into all of these other bills and all of these other things that are rolled out within the same week, same 2 weeks, same month, all of a sudden, all these things are rolled out a week, 2 weeks before emergency interest rates. So just ask yourself, right? Because the reality is this: first you have to decide, is it true or not? Once you've made the decision, and there's actually something that someone just said, read The Creature from Jekyll Island. Really, really, really good book. Because it's not like things that just been orchestrated these last couple of years, decades. It's been hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years. Things have been repeated over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, to a point where now it's like, what? That's crazy. That sounds insane. There you go. Literally, Siva has it right there.
This book is also a good one to read. I would recommend this to anybody. This literally, and I know, Mike, we're short on time here. This really breaks things down. They show you the treaties from, the early 1700s, the early 1200s. I would really recommend this book right here, Meet Your Straw Man.
Yes,
So
yeah, Creature of Jekyll Island's an amazing one too.
So if you want things to make sense, that's why we say follow the money. It's not just something that we say because it's cute to say. You have to understand what influences, right? What influences, what's incentive for the majority and for the people that are there to profit the most. Once you understand incentive, you understand decisions. Once you understand decisions, I'll post on a different link. Oh, we're good. Let's go. Okay, cool. We're good to go, boys. Y'all ready? I thought we had to be done.
Yo, Mike, this is the stuff that I can talk about for hours. You know this,
literally.
bro. You know this, man.
Okay. Oh, we just got some good news. We're on a different link now. All right, bet. All right, cool. So let's get into the conversation. Man, I really thought we were gonna have to cliffhang everybody, and then people started leaving, and so man, that's really unfortunate for them. But all right, let's dive into it. So with that being said, let's dive into some of the beginnings of understanding kind of where things begin in terms of, I guess, how money is influenced and where we're at now. So for example, if you guys were to give someone the first step, like, hey, you want to understand kind of like the roots of some of this orchestration in the markets, in media in itself, and how it all comes together, what would you say is like the first step for someone to take to kind of just step right in? Because it is a pretty big jump. It's kind of like, it is that red pill moment. It is when you're like, wait a minute, everything I know is a lie. Hold on.
So you're basically asking how to go into the rabbit hole with the rope and not just jump in, right?
Right. How do you not dive into the rabbit hole and then just try to hang on to something? How do you get a ladder? All right, let me take this first step down. How would you do that? And the reason I ask this is because this, for some of you, this might be a really critical moment in your life, just in general. Like, I'm not trying to hype up this experience, this moment right now, but when you start to kind of question every decision, every thought you've had, every belief you've ever had, you know, why you're influenced to eat this a certain way, spend a certain way, believe a certain thing, it's kind of like an identity crisis. You know, it's like, whoa, like, well, I was living in this world, but actually there's all this other stuff going on at the same time. And so I think it's a really pivotal point in consciousness, and all of this has to do with trading, because you're able to make better decisions. You know, you're able to understand yourself, and you're able to also understand the macro side of the markets. So with all that being said, Siva, what's the first step for someone to understand a bit more about kind of media manipulation and how you can tie that into your trading?
Yeah, so I think an amazing start is a documentary you guys can all find on YouTube. It's called Thrive. That's kind of a good way to ease into things, in my opinion. But to be honest with y'all, I don't know if I could really answer this question, because, you know, when I met Mike, Mike Miles,
we are
right?
gonna cliffhang everybody.
Yeah, so right, it's
I'm serious.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm serious. So guys, yeah, this is gonna be where it ends. So if you do want to learn a little bit more about where this goes, we're gonna have another conversation soon. We'll get everyone together, but I do think Thrive is a great place to put it. And someone just dropped in the chat top videos that you can look into to kind of put the pieces together. And at the end of the day, guys, please just understand, nothing is true, nothing is false. Everything is really opinion and perspective. So come to your own conclusions. Don't just believe, right? Come to your own conclusions. Siva, brother, thank you. Iffy, man, I appreciate both of you for just the amount of value you guys have, and for consistently giving everything on Go Live. Iffy, I mean, you're right now doing a sweet, like a badass boot camp. And Siva, man, you're just putting in so much hours. I know you have your own boot camp and your favorite sessions. So guys, if you want to go learn from these two individuals, go to their favorite sessions, go to their live sessions, FRX, TBX, it's it. But you know what? I like the way we ended, because now we don't tell you what to go think. Now you can go on your own adventures. Anyways, guys, much love to y'all, and we'll see you next week at the same time. Appreciate y'all.